Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Evolve or Get Left Behind, Client Success Through a Strategic Partnership with Pyramid Analytics. I am your host, Steve Murphy, Partner Director. With me today are Peter Morris, the VP of Partnerships, and Joe Bobian, Director of Solutions Engineering. We've got a lot of great information to share with you today, so to that end, Peter, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Steve. I'm looking forward to today's session. A few housekeeping items before we get started. There is a Q&A window available to you. If you've got questions, please ask during the webinar. We'll do our best to answer those in the time available. And all the participants are on mute, so you will have to use the Q&A if you have questions. As Steve noted, my name is Peter Morris. I'm running the partner channel here at Pyramid Analytics, but I did spend a lot of time in your shoes as a consultant, both client partner and salesperson. I spent a lot of time trying to help customers stay abreast of trends in the market, to deliver value to customers, to stay in that position of trusted advisor. And that's always a challenge because the market moves forward inexorably, and the market is moving forward even more quickly today. And so our objective here today is to talk a little bit about all of the trends in the current market and how Pyramid can help you do that. I've brought along with me my colleague, Joe Bobian. Joe, if you wouldn't mind saying hello and introducing yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Joe Bobian. So I am the Director of Pre-Sales Solution Engineering here at Pyramid Analytics. I've been in the market for about 15 years now, helping organizations of every size, working with our partners to really drive the value that we need out of the platform so that our customers get what they need to make better decisions and to grow their businesses. So something I'm passionate about. Hopefully that comes through in the presentation, and really excited to be with you guys today.
Thanks, Joe. I think you'll agree, Joe, because we've both been doing this for a while now, there's some things that haven't changed. Even though the BI market's changing pretty quickly, there's a few things that are pretty consistent, right? BI adoption has been hitting a wall, stuck somewhere between 25 and 35% adoption rates, depending on which analyst does the survey and who asks the question. But that is shockingly low, right? We've been trying to get end user adoption of analytics for years. We are failing to do that as an industry. And as we're trying to do that, people are adopting a whole bunch of different tools to try to do that. What we find is the total cost of ownership for BI tools at companies is too high. They own on average 4 or 5 different business intelligence tools per organization. They're using them for different things. They're trying to cobble them together to do stuff, and that's expensive, it's inefficient, and as we've seen, doesn't really help with adoption. And because of that, the way that people acquire, provision, cleanse, deliver that data is very inefficient. 42% of organizations are looking at improving operational efficiencies, right? So if you as a consultant are out in the marketplace looking to help organizations move forward on these fronts, well, we think we have an answer for you. And there's some questions as to why Pyramid is different than the rest of the tools on the market today. And I think this might help. This is a picture in 2005 of the Pope getting elected, inaugurated, popified, whatever we call it. And here's the same picture, same ceremony, same thing, 8 short years later. If you're an astute observer, you may notice a difference, right? In 8 years, we went from 1 or 2 flip phones in the audience to virtually everyone having a smartphone in their hand, right? Devices that contain more computing power than sent man to the moon. Network ubiquity, right? They're all connected to the internet. They all have storage and photos and interact with the internet and get information in real time. The entire world changed dramatically in that 8-year period. If you look at through the lens of the BI market, you'll see that there's a number of tools out there that were designed in that pre-smartphone, low ubiquity era, right? They were designed in that world and work well in that world, but they struggle in the post-device ubiquity, network ubiquity world because the data volumes are too big, and you need to look at platforms that were designed and built in the modern era. There are very few of those. Pyramid is a brand new platform built from the ground up to handle the types and volumes and sources of data that you see in your customers' data estates today. If you talk to the analyst, I'm sure as a consultant, you were all familiar with this rubric from Gartner from 12 years ago, right? That the maturity of analytics would progress over time, moving from descriptive analytics to diagnostic and predictive and prescriptive. In the modern era, I think we need to think of this in terms of the value line being the last mile. How well and how efficiently and how easily can we get information to the people that need it? How can we drive adoption rates for end users? How can we do public facing data? How can we do distribution of data to the masses inside and outside your firewall? When you look at it through that lens, there are a bunch of tools that are really good at descriptive analytics, right? They've been around for a while. They do that. They do the reporting stuff extremely well, but they don't get out to the last mile very easily, and they don't really do the rest of the maturity model. There's a whole bunch of diagnostics analytics tools out there, and again, they're very good at that. They're purpose-built for that. They don't really get to the last mile. They're not built for end users. They're not business oriented, right? They're technical tools for technical people. And then when you move to prescriptive and descriptive, predictive and prescriptive analytics, excuse me, again, plenty of tools out there that are purpose-built for that, that are excellent at that. But again, they don't really deliver information into the hands of end users very well. They're not set up for the citizen data scientist. If Gartner were to redo this analysis today, they would probably add another bubble, right, for the AI, the upcoming AI revolution. And it's going to be interesting to see how all that sorts out. But all of these platforms need to be AI enabled to take full advantage of all of these categories of descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. There is only one platform on the market today that covers all of that, that can do everything from reporting to embedded analytics to delivering to end users. And that platform is Pyramid. And as we go forward today, Joe's going to do a demo for you that will show you exactly how we do this stuff, because we're making some pretty big claims here. We are claiming that we are the #1 platform for business and decision intelligence. We offer a single, unified, built from the ground up platform, built for the modern data estate. It's got the fastest query engine on the market. It uses a number of very sophisticated AI algorithms and LLMs to do some amazing things while remaining business user centric. This is built for end users to access data, to interact with data, to see the data they want to see it. We are ranked by Gartner, and we'll come back to this in a moment. We're ranked by Gartner as the #1 business analyst and #1 augmented analytics solution. And we outperform everybody else on the market. We have an amazing hyper-optimized query engine, but also we don't move as much data as the competitors, right? We access data directly where it sits in the data estate. So we have the best value, the best delivery with the lowest TCO of any of the platforms on the market today. And our customers agree with us. We have over 1 million end users that are out there every day using Pyramid across a wide number of industries, a wide number of verticals, different use cases. We have on our website a number of customer success stories, which we'll talk a little bit about in a moment. But the analysts absolutely love us. Gartner ranks us #1 in their critical capabilities report. If you are not familiar with that report, it is a companion report to the BI, what colloquially the Magic Quadrant report. We showed extremely well in the MQ, moving up and to the right, moving more than any other vendor on the matrix this year in a positive direction. But the companion report that focuses on the technology ranks us #1, and we'll explore that a little more in a moment. But not just Gartner, BARC #1, Dresner, leader in the marketplace. Our customers, 97% of them are happy with our product. We have 110% customer retention. And when Gartner asks people what they think, we get 4.8 stars, which is very impressive in that thing. So analysts love us, customers love us. And when you ask out there, and you look at the different dimensions in which people care about things like query performance and price to value and business benefits, Pyramid gets top ratings. There's a number of leaders in the market today that don't get those same high marks, right? Some of these tools are suffering a little bit because they were designed in that pre-data ubiquity, network ubiquity era. They don't have the performance, they don't have the UI that business users and technical users are looking for today. When Gartner did the critical capabilities report, they took 20 different vendors and analyzed them across 12 different dimensions and put them into 4 categories. In those 4 categories, Pyramid is number 1 in 2 of them. Augmented consumer, meaning AI-enabled self-service, and business analyst. Pyramid is the number 1 platform on the market. Compare that to some of our competitors, we are top of the heap. Now, the remaining 2 categories of analytics developer and data scientists, we are number 2 and number 4. Again, compare that to some of our competitors. If you average those scores, which Gartner says you shouldn't, but if you did, we are the number 1 on average platform on the market today for analytics. And as your customers are out there looking at options, Googling, looking around, seeing things, they are going to come across Pyramid. You guys should be aware of what we do and how we do it, because they're going to ask questions about, hey, what does Pyramid do and how does it do it? Let's talk about the VA. In here in the US, the Veterans Administration, extremely large medical care provider. They have over 50,000 users using our platform on a daily basis to do all kinds of different use cases, from downtime of medical equipment to forecasting of staffing requirements, patient outcomes. It's an amazing deployment. It is at enterprise scale. So if you are thinking of your customers and you're thinking, well, these guys are really big and they've got a lot of data, well, I assure you, not only is the Pyramid platform an excellent choice for that, but the VA lets their end customers choose whatever platform they want. They can choose Tableau, they can choose Power BI. When people in the organization are picking a new platform to download, 70% of the time they choose Pyramid. So the end users, and these are business users, these are nurses and nurse supervisors and equipment coordinators. These are not, data scientists making these decisions. They choose Pyramid. When you look at financial companies and they're trying to interact with their customers, it's a very tough market for them, and they need better visibility around their products, their services, customer retention, etc. Empyrean, Boston-based, is using our AI-guided governed self-service. They're using some multi-tenancy to deliver dashboards out to end customers. It has transformed the way that they do business. One of the diagnostic tools, one of the descriptive tools that we talked about earlier was in place here and not doing well. Pyramid displaced that solution, and they are extremely excited about the Pyramid platform. Check in with us soon, and we should have some updates on numbers and how it impacted customer attrition, customer satisfaction. We are a global company. We do things around the world. Premier Foods is a UK-based manufacturer of non-perishable goods. They have a bunch of SAP data they were struggling with. Pyramid has special access to SAP data. We do not force you, like our competitors do, to lift and shift all the SAP data. So if you have customers that are accessing or trying to blend SAP and non-SAP data together, we have a distinct advantage here. We are better and faster than using some of the descriptive tools after you've exported all the data out of SAP. And we are better than some of the SAP's organic tools because we can be on-premise or in the cloud. We can blend SAP and non-SAP data together. We offer a very compelling solution. So in summary, before I turn you over to Joe to actually see the platform in action, we have a single platform. Think of it as a data factory for decision making. It's built on trusted data, right? We provide a secure, governed, curated data sandbox that You as a consultant will build for your end customer. And then on top of that, you can build any kind of information artifact, embedded analytics, charts, reports, dashboards, and bursted analytics, you name it, we do it. And you can build it for any persona, from sophisticated power users down to very simple interactions from any non-technical end users. The platform can be used for any use case, and because we can deploy anywhere on the cloud, on premise, and we're not installing anywhere on end user devices, it can be deployed anywhere. We are data agnostic, deployment agnostic. We are 100% about the analytics, 0% about the drama. I've made some pretty big claims here, and so we're going to back that up by showing you how stuff actually works. Joe's going to walk you through a couple of slides and then do a demo. I will warn you in advance, we're going to spend a little bit of time on a demo here. It's really more of a tour. The entire platform is so expansive and so powerful. A full demo takes considerably longer, but we will touch on some highlights, tease you with a few things. If you're interested in a full demo, please reach out and we'll do that for you. But Joe, would you mind walking our guests through some of this and showing the platform?
Yeah, no problem, Peter. Thanks, and thank you everyone for joining today. So we talk about the Pyramid Data Factory, right? What goes into this amazing platform that Peter has just been touting about for the last 10 minutes? Think about the journey any organization is taking to get actual insights, right? To get that one single number or to get the trend or the forecast they need in order to make a decision, right? That could potentially change the trajectory of your company. There's a lot that goes into that. Not only are you staring at your raw data, right? And that in itself is an accomplishment, right? What we see though is that many organizations have data all over the place, right? Everyone's trying to consolidate in some way, shape, or form, but there's data everywhere. So how do we handle that? We'll talk about that. How do we fix and clean and prep our data through this data fabric? How do we inject data science and machine learning into that data fabric process, right? We believe that having that done at the semantic layer, right, which is also created during this stage, is more useful and widely applicable to anyone using that data rather than one-offs in separate tools, one-offs in a single report or something like that. So how do we empower those data modelers, those data scientists to operationalize and get that data going quickly? As we break through and jump to our next area in analytics, now that we have that data, we have it prepped, it's ready to go, what do we do with it, right? Typically, we have some type of discovery or a visualization tool, right? We have some way, maybe it's in Excel, that we are uncovering that data set. Maybe we're doing some business model and optimization using Excel and Solver. And at that point, once we have our insights, what are we doing with them, right? They need to be deployed. They need to be pushed out to the end users for consumption. Now, if we think about that whole entire data factory process from data to insight, most of you are saying, okay, I need to become an expert in 6 different tools to deliver on this project. That's a challenge, right? And you're working with multiple different teams. You're working with multiple integration and failure points. Pyramid has developed modules for each of these areas, a model module for that data fabric where we can create the preparations, the data science in a semantic layer. We have a discovery and formulate for your analytics, your deep, insightful analytics that solve very challenging problems. We have tabulate and solve for that last mile. Right? We always get asked, okay, thanks for the insights. Now give it to me in Excel. Well, what if you could take that tabular type of experience into a web browser, right? What risks are mitigated? What governance is preserved with that approach? And then ultimately, we have to get this out to end users, whether that is in something like an interactive dashboard or pixel perfect compound reports, all supported in one single integrated platform that was built from the ground up. We did not go buy these components. We built them ourselves so we know they work seamlessly together for you, the customer. So a couple things you're thinking about as we go through here is, how can I provide a more operationally efficient experience for my end users, right? And end users is going to mean a lot of different things. We're going to talk about authors, we're going to talk about end users, but keep that in the back of your mind. Now, at the heart of all of this in a modern platform should be what? AI, right? If you're not talking about it, you're dying, right? If you're not finding some way to embrace it, even if it's just at 1 or 2 points within this data factory, you're really falling behind what the market and what your users are going to be expecting from you. The beauty is that Pyramid has thought that through, and we have different AI components built into the platform at every step of the way. Again, providing that efficiency, providing the ability for maybe end users who have skills yet to be learned to elevate themselves, right? And to go and look for external capabilities that can be served up to them. Things like the Chat GPT and LLMs that we're all hearing so much about right now. Right? Is that it, Peter?
I think so, Joe. I think it's time for you to share your screen. Show us a demo.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So where I'm going to start is actually in the world of possibilities. When we think about an analytics platform, your mind immediately goes to dashboards. It goes to bar charts and things like that. I can promise you that our pie charts are just as circly as everyone else's in the market. So how do we differentiate ourselves, right? For me, it's about the experience. It's about how much the end user wakes up in the morning and says, I want to go find these new insights. I want to make a better decision. I want to go somewhere that I enjoy going to, right? Having the experience where I pick up a dashboard and I exit out. I pick up another one, exit out. Pick up another one, exit out. That is not a modern or efficient way of going through your analytics. So these can take all different shapes and forms, and I'm going to walk you through just a couple of them really quick. So you can see here whether we're creating a very engaging type of experience while still providing the analytics, the KPIs that are needed around stores and KPIs and stocks and web stats, right? Maybe it's something where we're bringing in multiple different data sets. We're doing trending. We're doing some natural language generation of insights that should be helpful for me, the end user, all with a level of high design and consumability by the end user. Another example, looking at fraud across the globe or across the United States in this example, having that full interactivity, right? These are things that obviously we've all grown to understand and know, but what you won't see behind here is that this is actually being fed by 3 independent sources, right? So those are the things that are hidden sometimes. Those are the efficiencies and the differentiators that you're going to start seeing in the platform. I didn't have to single source it all. It's actually being directly created by multiple systems. Again, the level of high design, the level of embeddability and making it fit your existing application, the sky's the limit from a Pyramid perspective. You're not set on your just standard boring dashboards that everyone else is going to highlight and showcase. Making things highly interactive and realistic in your world. Being able to jump in and see, okay, what's going on with each of these different areas. And when I see an anomaly, being able to drill into something like that and to have those insights served up to me to say, okay, there's something going on with my press forming within this particular example that we're looking at right here. Is it a people issue? Is it a machine issue? Are we just back in our queues? Do I need to go look at my maintenance forecast or look at my raw materials, right? I have that ability to interact and work within this high design type of experience. Now, I'm going to finish the examples with this one right here. We talked about allowing you to kind of jump to different areas of the business and understand kind of what's going on more holistically than jumping into different applications. In this example, I have my sales, customer reporting, finance, and operations. I'm going to first start by going into my sales. And to set the stage, the type of end user that I am right now is someone who's on the business side. Maybe they're non-technical. Okay. In this example, I am a sales manager, and I'm in charge of the entire United States. Now, when I look at this, I see a number of different things. First, I can see forecast trends. Well, I know that that actually comes from my Oracle system. I also have some other geo forecasting. That actually comes from some IMB data that I'm pulling in. I have some marketing data that's coming from yet another system. So we talked about earlier the fact that I'm able to pull and blend data at the presentation layer rather than having to make sure this is all in one single data set. That's an important differentiation within Pyramid. That's going to make your life easier when I can build independent components and simply bring them together and model map them at the presentation layer. It's a very different approach, but you're going to see the value as we go through here. Now, I have all these different sources, understanding that if I'm interested in what's going on in Texas, I have a complete picture across all those different sources that I'm directly querying, but simply passing in the context of Texas. Right? Now, as that manager, I have a lot of questions. First of all, California is obviously an anomaly. So what's going on here? So I want to start entering into the realm of how do I get more insights? I want you to explain to me what's going on here. And so explain, and you've probably seen a lot of these, a lot of technologies have them. What makes us different is that we're doing explain against any data source that we have access to. So I'm not having to prep the data. I'm not having to put it into a specific in-memory source, or I'm not having to massage it and choose what data is going to be applicable. I want to know everything in this data model and what could be affecting the fact that California is an anomaly. Well, I can see that the manufacturing, and I can click on any one of these and have my automated insights update. I can see my charts. I can see that manufacturing organizations in the qualification stage is what makes up a majority of this. And they're in the 1 billion to 500 billion company size. Okay, that's giving me a whole lot more insight into areas I need to focus in on, right? In order to understand, is this a good anomaly? Is this a bad anomaly? And start to ask those additional questions. So as I move through the dashboard, I know that manufacturing, I know that qualification is an issue, and I can see that's kind of up here. Before I get there, though, I noticed that services continues to be an outlier, right? And what we're looking at in this chart is how much time from a sales cycle days perspective it's taking to qualify deals in services or any of these industries. So with services, this is continuing to get out of hand. I want to go down here and build an alert. Listen, if this continues to go up, even by, I don't know, 2%, that's a bad thing. I need to know. Check, every Friday at 9 a.m. Send me an email, send me a text message, send me something in my Teams or my Slack channels. I need to know because this affects my ability to run my business. Also, I need you to send it to these other people as well, right? I need you to send it to everyone else, maybe send it to their phone numbers, maybe send it to a couple other Teams or Slack channels. That's what's going to be helpful so that my team can rally around this issue if it continues to happen. Now, let's get back to this manufacturing issue. We know that it's an anomaly. We know that it's an outlier in California. But what's really going on here? Let's explain at this level. And again, taking the whole context into consideration, from this chart's perspective, it's all in that 1 billion to 500 billion. But here's the value to me, the sales manager. Show what factors are driving the average forecast higher. Okay. So what that means is that I'm looking for ways to change the behavior. When sales cycle days gets above 39 days, that's a challenge, right? That's not good. I need to lower that number. So maybe I need to go set an alert for like 30 days so it doesn't get this high. The number of employees at the company that we're targeting, if it gets over 71,000, that's not good, right? The time of year is selling into something like manufacturing cyclical, right? Are there high points in the year? Are there low points in the year? All that information, as well as the influencer insights, are all driven by the data holistically, directly at the source, and provided to me, the end user. So I have a lot more information now that I can go talk to, the sales rep or the manager in California and say, hey, here's areas where we need to maybe be a little bit better. We need to run some enablement around how we qualify in or out manufacturing deals, what use cases they deal with, so on and so forth. I've been able to make an impact simply by asking questions and letting the technology tell me what I need to focus in on. Right? That's some leading edge type of approach. Now let's jump over to my marketing. I love marketing. Marketing puts together some amazing stuff. This chart in particular, it's very colorful. It's got big dots. It's got little dots. I have no clue what this chart's trying to tell me. I built this chart, all things considered, and I still don't know what this is, right? But if I'm that business user and I'm looking at this, I can't make heads or tails. So enter what we call smart insights. And understand this is on all visuals. Those smart insights are going to be machine learning driven insights that are surfaced up based on the data in this chart. So I can see my basic facts, right? Some top and bottom rankings, some relationships, some trends, some impact analysis that's going on with the elements that are in this chart. I can go a little bit further. There's something like my advanced. It's going to give me a little bit more. It's going to give me some outlier type information. And oh, by the way, if I want to understand what that looks like in the context of California, that narrative immediately updates with the context of California for a chart coming from two different sources. That is extreme power. And for me, the business user, I just want to be able to have that flexibility without going back to the person who originated these reports, which, by the way, are likely two different people, right? Now, the last thing I want to do inside of here is look at this categorically. I'm looking at my company revenue. I'm looking at, which is the size of the companies I'm going after, my forecasted amount, and my sales cycle days. If I just look at the very first one, conferences, I'm not targeting the right companies. I'm not getting any money from them, and it's taking forever to qualify them. My approach to conferences is not good, right? I'm not getting out of those very expensive conferences what I'm supposed to. That's an area we need to either change our approach or get out of altogether. So I can see these rankings of my different metrics as I go through here, which also help me understand where are the anomalies, where are the areas that I need to make changes in. Now, I see bubble charts all the time and other types of visuals that are so complex a business user is never going to understand them. What they don't have in the market, what other technologies don't have, is that ability to provide clarity onto what is actually happening in this visual. That's another extreme value of Pyramid. You saw Peter talk about it, our augmented intelligence. This is a great example between Explain and this. And Smart Insights about how we handle that for a business user. Let's take this one step further. I want to come in and I actually want to change this altogether. I want to ask some other questions. Like, can you change to a grid for me? Okay. Now I have a bunch of other questions and I don't want to open up a tool. I don't want to learn a tool. And I don't want to have to open up a question or submit something to a queue, right? I want to simply ask my questions. Can you please remove my lead sources, right? Let's add in something like year, right? And so all of these things can be prompted simply by choosing all the different data elements that I have in that model, right? So this is all the things that are at my disposal. I can also ask it things like, you know what, show me some insights. And just like that, this is new set of data with year instead of lead sources. It's giving me new insights right here on the fly. I can start from scratch with a whole new query that has nothing to do with what it looks like right now. And that provides me that self-service that you're just not getting from another platform that focuses on analytics, right? Now, let's take this one step further. Say I don't want to type everything out. Say I don't want to ask questions or there's very specific things I want to do. I can come in here and use my three favorite buttons: dice, swap, and add. If I take a look at this report, I see it's by industry, and I know that, you know what, I'm not worried about industries right now. I'm actually more worried about the company sizes, right? We know that 1 billion to 500 billion. I want to then come in here and add any data element from my model. What are the opportunity stages? All right, let's look at 1 billion to 500 billion that's in closing right now. Okay, so let's focus on that. And what I want to do is I want to dice on that, which is drill anywhere. And I want to see my companies. So now what I see is 1 billion to 500 billion companies that are in closing right now. That's a lot of companies. How do it make sense? This might as well be Excel. Well, I want to be able to come in and I want to be able to say, you know what, let's do some conditional formatting and do a color scale on the background. So now I can start to pull out, where are my highest deals? Where are they at? How many days have I spent on them? And the company revenue associated with those deals. This is a completely different question than what I started with, which was, if I remind you, that bubble chart that I had no idea how to comprehend. This is where I was able to go with a few simple clicks to get to the insights that I need. This is the power, right, of Pyramid that we're providing to our customers. Now, the question might be, self-service, you enable so much for the end user. Why do you need us as partners, right? So let's dive into that right now, because there's an incredible amount of value that our partners can bring to this process, not only from a subject matter expert perspective, but there is still some work that needs to be done from a setup perspective. So right now, I'm going to take off my end user hat, that sales manager, and I'm going to put on the sales analyst hat, right? Someone who is actually developing out the content that was just consumed. What is my life going to be like? The first thing I'll drop you into is this, a completely web-based experience. You're going to see I have all of my different modules. I have my tutorials, I have online videos, samples, and guides. I know Peter's going to talk about this later, but coming up to speed on Pyramid, there are so many things at your disposal to learn it quickly and become someone who can make an impact with the technology, including our Learning Hub, that should not be a worry for you at this point. So if I start this whole process, where do I begin? For me, the first place I want to begin is I got to connect to that data. So let's go into my model. Now I can upload Excel spreadsheets. I can use wizards. I want to go into the Model Pro because the Model Pro is going to look very familiar to a lot of people. Right? I'm just going to drag this over here. There we go. So you're going to notice that I have all my different file source type of sources. I have my relational sources, so your standard SQLs, but even your Dremios and your AS400s, all the way to your Teradatas and Starburst, right? Your big data sources, so BigQuery and Redshift and Snowflake and Spark, these are all growing, and Databricks growing in popularity for a number of organizations that are making the transition, as well as our cloud. S3 is another huge one that's been happening a lot. Shared drives, FTP sites, Glue, which is proving really valuable in a lot of places, including things like Azure Blob. And then we have more technical connectors like Python and R. It's a very common place to be using that to connect to your data. So the first thing I want to do is I actually want to go in here to my SQL Server. I'm going to choose my data server. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to pull in something like the sales data that I'm looking at. Now, I have a couple different options. First, I want to look at all these tables, but I don't want to move them. They're actually in pretty good shape. I want to do what Pyramid does best, and that is use direct query. Direct query allows me to leverage push down query methodology to be extremely efficient and fast. You saw Peter mention 10x over places like Tableau and others in the market because we're leveraging that push down query. We are passing the where conditions. We're passing everything we need to that database. Let the database do what it does best, which is churn those numbers and then return to us just the data that we actually need, right? There is no ingestion. There is no requirement to pull your data, right? I can look at my data model, and this is where I have the ability to do all kinds of things, including being able to do things like translations using the latest in ChatGPT, as you can see right here. for your different columns and things like that. You're going to see that I just clicked on this and it automatically connected all of my different data tables, right? I can see how they're connected by their keys. I can make these things bidirectional, many to many as needed. I have multiple join criteria, multiple join types. I can go into my columns, and a very important aspect of the platform is this is that semantic layer. How do I want to sort these fields? How do I want to name these fields? Are there certain categories, right? If I look at things like my first name, that's actually, a person. So I can come down here and say, you know what, I should identify that as a person. So I can ask questions like, hey, show me Peter sales for Q4 2022 in my chatbot, right? All of these types of categories that we can set for our data are going to be really important for leveraging it down the road. Understanding how we want to summarize our measures, right? Maybe I want to summarize a measure multiple different ways. How do I want to organize those? What formats do I want? Do I want to add custom calculations at the semantic layer so everyone can use them and they don't have to do that at the individual report layer, and they don't have to be added to the database themselves, right? This intermediary semantic layer provides so much value for the end user. And then the hierarchies. One of the areas that I really think Pyramid prides itself on is that, we look back over the last 15 years and said, what do people really struggle with? What do they hate doing? And one of the things at the very top of that list is dealing with hierarchies, right? So you saw the use case with Empyrean. One of the things they struggled with was, how do we handle very ragged, right, hierarchies that are coming from multiple financial systems? Well, within Pyramid, I can simply come in, and I'm going to throw these all from one group, but they could be coming from multiple tables. Understand that I could just very easily say, you know what, this is actually a ragged level within that hierarchy. This one button saves days, if not weeks of time for people who have to flatten out data and work with it. Also, how do we handle parent-child hierarchies? How do we handle the roll-up? How do we handle the orphan handling? These are topics that if you're dealing with very heavy hierarchical data, they're going to be challenges in most every other platform. We've realized that, and we've made and created the easy buttons for our partners and for our customers who are trying to deliver on these complex projects. Right now, everything I've shown so far is just that direct query, which we perform at unbelievably well. But there are items and times where you might want to actually move the data. So in this federated model, I can see that I'm actually pulling some JSON data, some SQL on-prem, Snowflake from the cloud, some R data coming from who knows where, and SQL Server data. I'm doing my different preparation steps, as you can see inside of here. I'm doing some column operations, all in a no-code type of way. Masking data, right? Creating unions. You're not going to see any code in this example unless you want to. I'm going to come down here to my machine learning. I have all of these out-of-the-box models. How are you handling that today? Right? What we hear often is that we have a whole other tool with a whole other team that is doing our ML. We're having a really hard time operationalizing it, right? The value of Pyramid is that not only can allow those data scientists or those citizen data scientists to come in here and use our out-of-the-box models, or come in here and use actual Python scripting, right? But it's all operationalized. One of the benefits inside of here as well is maybe I'm not a huge Python coder, but I need to do this market basket analysis. Well, let's use some of that Chat GPT, right? I just want to do market basket analysis, right? Go find me a market basket analysis model. Now, the important thing is, listen, we're not pushing any of your data outside. We're not transferring anything. We're simply looking out there and saying, what's available? And then, hey, by the way, I still don't know what this gibberish means. Can you explain what this script is actually doing so I can make the changes that are necessary for my particular use case, right? This is one of many areas where the AI is being injected into the platform, right? We also have a marketplace where you can leverage existing content from other customers. So all the feature comforts of a large, long deployed platform, but in a modern or agile platform. Okay, so once we have this, the last piece is where does this all go? Assuming this goes into a proprietary in memory somewhere, right? Well, no, right? We believe that if you have infrastructure in place, you should be able to continue to use that and have that supported if that's what your teams know. So here are all the different sources that I can actually inject this data movement into. If today it's SQL Server and tomorrow they say, nope, you know what? We just made the change. It's all going into Snowflake now. Okay, connect everything. You lose nothing. This is now all being populated into Snowflake. Right? So very easy to make those changes on the fly. And we can talk through how we change all the different content to these new sources through UIs, which we thought through as well. From here, I want to jump into a couple more areas that discover. I want to be able to come in and create a new visualization. That could be something like, hey, I want to start with, I don't know, here's some questions that myself and other people are asking. Maybe the top 5 lead sources, right? So I can see what that looks like by my forecasted amounts. That might be one way we approach this. Another way might be I need to do some forecasting. I want to go into my time hierarchy. I want to look at my months. I want to look at my forecasted amounts, but I need to see that forecasted. It should just be sales amount, right? I can come in here to my actual forecast and just click on it. That's going to go in and that's going to look at the next 6 months and give me that forecast. Now, what model is that using? What ones do you have available? The next question. These are the models that we have out of the box. I like to use Best Fit personally because what it does is actually runs through all of these different algorithms and it uses the one with the lowest error coefficient. So as my data changes over time, the model might change as well. But Best Fit is always going to give you the most accurate model possible for this forecasting. Now I can come in here and I can make changes. I can even come in if I really wanted to and do custom script at the individual report level. But again, a lot of this is typically handled upfront in the modeling. Okay. Now, if I want to also look at something like my sales cycle days, and I want to create a new measure on the fly that's looking at the average, and I want to be able to drag that in and do a secondary with, I don't know, a spline chart, right? That's what it might look like. And then lastly, I want to look at this by my different company sizes. Oh, sorry, let's do that this way. By my different company sizes. So now what I have built in just a few clicks is a forecast with comparative analysis between 2 metrics based on my different company sizes. That was very fast and very efficient for me to go create content, right? This is the area where I think a lot of value can be provided from a subject matter expert from our partners to be able to come in and build out this content very, very rapidly once you understand and know how to use the platform. Right? Now, there is another way to go in and develop content. We talked about that tabular type of experience, right? I want to be able to come in and maybe I'm pulling in some source data. I have it coming from one source. I have it coming from another source. I can start to blend data within what we call tabulate, which again is in the same exact experience. I'm not jumping anywhere. I have all of my functions and calculations that I'm used to inside of something like an Excel, right? The same type of look and feel and functionality is all going to be present inside of here for you. I have multiple tabs that could ultimately end up being something like what you're seeing here. I have different triggers, or not necessarily triggers, but I have different levers that I can pull to do what if analysis that are built into here for you as the end user. But the point is that this can be that last mile of analysis. I need to blend 2 different data sources and do some analysis. That's typically the question that people are asking and why they're going into Excel. So, inside of here, I can maybe click down here and say, you know what, I need yet another source to work inside of there. So I can go to any one of my folders inside of here, and I can say, you know what, let's throw in something that's actually coming from SAP. That's along with my data from Snowflake and some other data, my budget data that's actually sitting in Oracle. right? And so I can now bring this data in. There it is. And I can use that in calculations. I can use that to help drive whatever I need inside of my final report that we're seeing here. This is one great example. Another example is being able to take that to the next level and say, you know what? I want to take that same approach, but I'm someone who uses Solve inside of Excel. So we brought that capability into the platform. So I can see I have, in this example, I'm looking at energy production and what is the most cost effective with the highest yield. So I have my different sources, I have their cost per hour, quantities, percent used, and total cost. So this is a great optimization question. I can go into Solve and I can say, you know what, I want to minimize my total cost by changing the values, quantity produced, in these cells. But my wind can't be higher than my value for wind down here, right? And my values can't be higher than what my capacity is. And so we go through here and we make these constraints. And the end result that we have is we now have a solve where we can say, okay, if my target goes up and my renewable economies really skyrocket, how is that going to affect what I'm able to produce and at what cost? This is a very tough question that people struggle with that we can help minimize. And this, again, is where our partners' knowledge and where our partners' experience is really going to shine through in deriving these types of new ways of analyzing data within an analytics platform, not just Excel, right? So lastly, once we have content built, whether it's in Tabulate, whether it's in Discover, I want to bring all that together. So you can see here is our example that we built earlier. I want to be able to create new pages if I want to inside of here. I want to be able to drag and drop my discoveries directly from where we built them in the bottom into the page. So if I save this one, for instance, and just call this my report, right? I can come back here and I can say, okay, I want that my report that's now going to be inside of here. I can take content from other people, right? So there is no concept of a project, right? You're really constrained to those projects. If it's not in that project, I can't use it. Well, Peter was over here all day yesterday building out some other things, right? And so he wants to use that trend. And maybe we have this whole other report inside of here that's being shared by others. Pardon me. That I want to be able to leverage in this report as well, right? So I can very quickly start building out analytical assets like these dashboards with data coming from multiple different sources being designed and built by multiple different people. And this is a very collaborative type of environment to do that. The beauty is that that exact same content that you just saw, which was inside of this publication, this is our pixel perfect type documentation. Not only can I provide those smart insights like what you're seeing here, but if I create another page, again, total reusability. I want to see that same report. I want to see those same charts, whatever they may have been. Which one it was exactly? There's a trend one. And I can use that. So this can now be saved and scheduled out. So within the schedule, I can create a new schedule and say, you know what? I want to make sure there's one, bookmarks, two, that there's a link back. What that means is that I can put this into PDF. And then if I have questions a week from now and I only get this monthly, I can actually go click on a report and it'll take me back to the live version of it. I want to be able to understand, okay, if I'm breaking this out by my different industries, that's a slicer I have on it. That's going to be important. My schedule, how often am I doing that? On demand, is it reoccurring? Do I want to set this as something that can be used as a trigger? If sales goes below a certain amount, send this document. Don't wait for the next schedule, right? And then distribution. How do I want to send this out? Do I just want to send this to the internal library within Pyramid and someone gets a link? Do I want to send this to email? Do I want that to be a dynamic email list, right? Where I'm using data-driven assets to say, okay, this industry, which is what we were looking at, is what we're trying to tie to our company industry. And we're going to pull everyone's email that's associated with that, and they're going to get their slice of the pie. It's that easy to do that. Or do I want to distribute this out to my different teams channels? I have my messages, I have all my information. Right?
Hey, Joe, you are doing an awesome job, but we are running low on time. Can we segue back to any final thoughts on the demo?
Yeah, I guess the wrap up was really what we showed was data access all the way to the data delivery in one single platform, one single browser experience. To that note, for maximum efficiency and something that I think everyone should be using. So, Peter, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. All right, everyone. So that demo, I think, hopefully touched some of the things that you'll find interesting. In summary, we offer the best technology on the market today to help you deliver value to your customers. So the question is, if you were to partner with Pyramid, what does that get you? Well, it's quite a bit, actually. Pyramid has a dedicated Pyramid channel partner team. We will work with you on all fronts, go to market, marketing, training, and enablement to make sure that you are fully prepared to build out Pyramid, identify opportunities to conduct services on that front. We use a co-sell model. Our salespeople, our sales engineers know our platform, they know our product. You know the customer, the data, the use cases. We work together to deliver those things to the customers. We also use a co-delivery model. Once a deal closes and you're working to deliver Pyramid, and we're seeing somewhere in the 3.5 to 4 services to software ratio. It's an annual subscription model, and we're seeing a lot of downstream work for our consulting partners. But you're not out there alone. We have a small services team that is expert in our platform that will help you help our customers get this installed, configured, designed to make sure that everyone's successful in that original deal. And where you are recommending our platform and registering opportunities, there is compensation available to you. You don't have to take it, but if you choose to do so, we have a very lucrative ongoing program for commission/discount for our resale partners. So that is all supported by our partner portal, which is a resource for selling resources, training, updates, etc. You can access the Learning Hub, which is our free to all consultants in the program learning platform. There are levels of certification. It's very comprehensive, award-winning training available to you, all again free to our partners. We also have a user community, Learning Live, innovation newsletters. I think the point here is that you are not out there alone. You have the partner team and a whole bunch of resources available to you to work with us there. If you are interested in partnering with Pyramid, I would encourage you to go to our website. Go to pyramidanalytics.com and take a look at that. There's some additional demos, additional information, more use cases, etc. There's a link to apply for membership in the partner program. Follow that, fill out that form, send it to us. We'll get back to you and we'll talk about what the fit is and how the program works in more detail. And if you want to see more of the platform, there's also a schedule a demo link, and we'll be happy for you and your team to schedule a more comprehensive demo. I know Joe covered a lot today, but there's a lot more to see. So we look forward to working with you as a potential future partner. If those of you who have to drop off, I apologize for running long. For those of you who can stay for a moment, I think there are a couple of questions in the Q&A. Any questions, Steve?
We do. We've got 4 if we can do them fairly quickly and get through them. The first one is, if I have a customer where I think Pyramid might be a good fit, how do I engage you?
Okay, thank you. That's pretty straightforward. Go to the partner portal, apply for membership in the thing, and then as a part of that conversation, we can engage with that customer. We're more than happy to talk to you about the use case, the requirements, and help you assess if there's a good fit there.
Okay. Next one is, you covered a lot. What ways would you say at a high level Pyramid differentiates itself from the market? And Joe,
Sure.
you want to take that?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll take that one. So I think there's a couple ways that we differentiate. First, hopefully you understood and saw the complete data platform picture that we're proposing. Most organizations, that's very fractured, and there's 5 or 6 different tools that at least that make up everything we showed today. So I think that's one big differentiator. The second is I think business user, what I call business user accessibility, right? You saw the business user experience with the augmented intelligence, with all the flexibility, the self-service, true self-service, not put me into a tool self-service, but true end user self-service that's in the platform. That can be leveraged in an embedded fashion or straight up in Pyramid. And the last one I think is our direct query engine. We continue to get awards for our ability and our performance to directly query sources without having to ingest, without having to move data to get performance. And that's one that we hold close to us because it is so important to get the response and the answers you need quickly. So I would say those are the 3 ones off the top of my head.
Okay. The other one it came in before you showed the platform and did the demo, but it says you mentioned blending SAP and non-SAP data. How do you do that? I think you kind of showed that, but if there's anything else you want to add to that, Joe?
Yeah, so I think our ability to access SAP data, in particular the HANAs, the BWs of the world, is actually another key differentiator because our dev team developed those connections to those sources to leverage the semantic layer that already exists inside of them, which can be fairly complex and robust. It takes a lot of time to build and is very expensive. So to be asked to move your data out into some other source, pay for it twice, and lose all of that work, we don't think is a very good starter, right? It's a non-starter. So our ability to directly query SAP, take advantage of that semantic layer, and then blend it like you saw with other sources, yeah, it's something we can have a much deeper conversation about, but definitely something that we do better than anyone in the market.
Yeah, and clients have spent a lot of money getting all of that established, right, in SAP. It's a shame to lose it.
Yeah.
And then the last one's for Peter. Is there any cost for joining the partner program?
One of the nice things about the partner program is that all of this is free to you as an end partner. We do ask you to get some people trained. There are some minimum requirements for getting some people certified on the program and getting some folks trained from a sales perspective. We ask you to interact with our partner team, to do go-to-market activities, to do opportunity identification, sort of cadence calls with the partner team. But other than that, it's entirely free. All of this is available to you to help you grow your practice, to deliver value to your customers, and to remain the trusted advisor. So I think that's all the time we have today. Thank you very much for your time and attention today. We greatly appreciate it. We look forward to talking to you further about becoming a Pyramid partner. Thank you.